Hello, Cohasset, and welcome to the brand new Our Town. I'm Mark DeGiacomo, and I'm very pleased to introduce my co-host, Vienna DeGiacomo.
Hi.
Vienna is my daughter-in-law, and she'll be taking the place of Pat Martin. Pat has been very busy with her work schedule and planning out her daughter's wedding, when we know how complicated that can be. So she's bowed out of the show, but I'm very much looking forward to doing this with Vienna. I think it'll be a lot of fun. Again, it's kind of interesting because we'll have the older view from me, the younger view from Vienna, maybe the guy's view from me, the woman's view from Vienna, townie from me, and relatively newcomer for Vienna.
7 years, and I think in Cohasset time that's about a week.
About a week, yeah. You're not even close, so you're very newcomer. But so I think it'll be, maybe we'll get some different perspectives, but the show will be the same, except we'll be updating some things. As we've always done, we'll try to bring in guests, normally from town government or things that go around town, and hopefully ask some questions that you'd like to ask so you can become a little more educated about what's going on at town meeting, elections, or any big issues in town. But Vienna also is going to bring some new ideas to the show as well, including we're going to try to do a regular spot with new businesses in town.
Yeah, absolutely. So hopefully we'll be checking out some new businesses, speaking to some local business people, and seeing what's new and fresh in town.
Yeah, so if you're a new business person or you know somebody, reach out to them, have them reach out to us at the studio, and we'd love to get them in. We'll even do some on-location spots as well.
Yeah, restaurants, we love to eat.
Yes, yes.
I know Mark loves getting a spray tan, so if there's any new tanning salons.
Not gonna happen.
So yeah, absolutely. You can always reach out to us, and also bringing us a little more modern, we do have some social media networks that you could reach out to us. We're on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook as Our Town Cohasset, so you can contact us there as well.
That's excellent. So I don't do Twitter. I do Facebook a little. And what's the other one? Instagram?
Instagram, yeah.
So you'll have to tell me how to do all those so I can kind of follow
worry.
us. All right, thank you. And so we're really looking forward to the new show. And of course, we're coming up to a town meeting, an election. We have a contested election for selectmen, which feels like the first time in a while. So we're hoping maybe to get the candidates on too.
Yeah, I think there's a lot going on in town, and it'll be fun to chat with everybody.
Excellent, excellent. All right, well, to start us off tonight, we have two guests here to talk about the new bulk purchase electricity program, and you guys can tell us all about it. Steve Wenner, Peter Pescatore. Welcome, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome. So, Steve, maybe you want to start off by telling us a little bit, what is this bulk purchasing proposal that we'll be learning more about and talking about at the town meeting?
Well, this is a program that was made possible by the Utility Restructuring Act of 1997. It was at that time that law was passed in Massachusetts that broke apart the utility industry into the distribution and billing part, which is National Grid in our area, and the generators, the companies that actually produce the power. So the idea was to foster increased competition so that consumers could possibly get lower rates for their electricity. It's been very successful. There are over 117 towns in Massachusetts now that have aggregated electricity contracts, it's called. But in recent years, the objective for these types of programs has been moving more toward procuring green energy, renewable energy, wind and solar primarily, to make it possible for residents of Massachusetts to obtain in a convenient and inexpensive manner a greater portion of green energy in their electricity.
So Steve, we got town meeting coming up, I think it's the 29th, is it,
Right.
of April. And there are actually two articles on the warrant, a citizen's petition and one that the selectmen have put on. Are they the same? Are both going forward, or what's happening there?
Yes, both articles are the same. It's just that I formed a group of residents in Cohasset We call ourselves the Cohasset Residents for Climate Action, and this is our first project. We decided that we wanted to do this because we'd seen how other towns have been very successful in getting aggregation programs going, this bulk purchasing for electricity, and we thought we wanted to offer, get this to offer residents in Cohasset. At the same time, I'm also a member of the Alternative Energy Committee in town, and we've been talking about this sort of thing for quite a while. We had energy manager of Plymouth come in and talk to us with his energy broker at one point last fall. So we were aware of it, but we never moved on it. But the time is really right. So
you put together a citizens petition,
right,
and got on the warrant, but then through the other group, you got the
right.
selectmen.
So the Alternative Energy Committee also agreed unanimously to sponsor this program also, and asked the Board of Selectmen if they would be willing to put it on the warrant. And the Board of Selectmen have agreed to do that. So what's probably going to happen, since we had these duplicate articles, is that I will withdraw the citizens petition in favor of the Board of Selectmen's article, since they're the same, and we'll just discuss that one and pass that
Yeah,
one.
it turned out that way because it was unclear at the time. The citizens petition had to go in really early.
Right.
And it was unclear whether the Board of Selectmen were in support of that or not, so that's why.
Right.
That's
So we
why
had
it ended.
some placeholder.
We didn't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
Our citizens group, we weren't 100% confident that the Board of Selectmen would put the article on the warrant. As it turned out, they voted 3 in favor and 2 against to put it on the warrant. So,
Okay.
So what are the benefits to individuals as well as the town of Cohasset if something like this were to go forward?
okay, these plans are oriented to the citizens, the residents, and the businesses in town. The municipality itself already negotiates a contract for town buildings and so forth, but this is oriented toward residents and businesses. The original objective of the state law was to simply get more inexpensive electricity, save people money. But the motivation for our citizens group in doing this is more to, as a way to help people reduce their carbon footprint and contribute and do their bit to help fight against climate change. But so it accomplishes 2 objectives. There will be options for increasing the amount of renewable energy. If a resident isn't concerned about that, but just wants to reduce their energy bill, he'll be able to do that too, and garner a significant savings probably. I should mention in Plymouth, they've been on a program for 1.5 years, and right now their electricity costs are 28% less than what the base utility price is.
So the town already has a separate deal for the town buildings
Yeah,
and
the
schools?
the
and so
municipal
forth.
does, right, for the
Municipal
town
side.
buildings, the schools and so forth. The town negotiates a separate contract, but they could go in on the aggregation if they wanted to.
But they don't have to.
They don't have to. It's just like any individual in town. No one is obligated to participate in the program. Everybody has the opportunity, but they're certainly not required. They can opt out of the program either during the enrollment period or at any time thereafter without any penalty.
Since this is all about bulk purchasing, if putting aside the green initiative piece of this and just looking at the money, the savings, if the municipality, if the Cohasset decides that they've got a pretty good deal going right now, and they don't want to come in, does that mean that the rest of us who get into this, we're not going to get as good a deal because the municipality isn't involved?
No, because the contract rate will be settled all before those decisions are made.
Okay.
So, of course, the energy providers will, in their own mind, be trying to gauge how big the contract will be, how many people will enter into the aggregation.
But if they guess wrong, and municipality says no thanks, and 50% of the people say no thanks, they're already locked in at the rate.
Right, yeah, so, right, the contract.
But But the town contract is traditional energy suppliers.
Right.
Okay, it's not renewable energy.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I'm not talking about the renewables piece
Right.
of it, which is very important, but I'm just talking about the dollars.
But being that, the town is a green community.
Yeah.
It's certified by the state of Massachusetts as a green community. And so we're hoping that the town will dedicate, throw their usage into the pool as well. The more electrical power that we can present to the bidders, the lower the price will be.
Yes,
I think it'll be below National Grid in any event, and you can have as many different gradients as you'd like. So you could have the base
But that
rate.
wasn't what I'm trying to understand, Peter. So because I thought I heard that the price is set
Right.
before they know whether the municipality is coming in or not.
Right.
But, okay.
But the
So it
municipality,
doesn't matter whether they come in or not.
it'll be bid with everything in it.
Okay.
Is that correct? I think that's correct.
Yes, right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it'll be bid with everything in it. We're pretty confident that the town, the municipal buildings, because they burn a lot of power, and
Right.
we're pretty confident they will opt in and maybe even go for alternative energy options.
I should mention that the town of Cohasset is an official green community. This is a state program. As such, get benefits of grants from the state. We also have obligations. The obligations are to have a series of 5-year programs to reduce the town's carbon footprint. And the town is on track to meet their first 5-year commitment right now. But certainly, this might be another stepping stone.
Right.
Yeah, it's
Or
to.
or a black mark on the town's record, right? I mean, if you
No, I
don't get
mean,
involved with it.
it's to the advantage of the town, under the Green Communities Act to participate in these things. We get benefits from that, so. So we're pretty confident that the town
Town will sign up.
will opt in as well.
Can you talk a little bit about what the opting in or opting out process would look like for an individual? What if they're already happy with the contract they have, or just
pretty
don't want to be
simple.
part of it? What would that look
It's
like?
pretty simple. You'll get a postcard or a letter in the mail, and if you want to join, you just pick which option you would like and send it back. If you don't want to join, you just check off no, and if you have an existing contract, but many people do, for alternative energy and they're happy with that, they don't have to join. So it's pretty, it's just a one-time, one step and you're done.
So I understood it was an opt-out.
Right.
So unless you say you're out, you're in.
Right.
But
Unless you have a third-party contract.
unless you have a third-party contract, right? Because then you have to terminate that
Then you have to
contract
terminate that contract and opt in.
and opt in then at that point.
Which it's open to you to do.
Right. All right.
There's no prohibition against that. So if you change your mind, if you opt out because you don't understand it or we didn't do a good job communicating to you, and a month later you realize that, well, I maybe should do this, then you can join us.
And that's a requirement by law. So you
Yes.
can't be say, all right, people, you want to be an opt-in, we'll do the opt-in. That's not that choice is
Right.
not available.
Right, yeah, this is dictated by state law. So the important thing to understand is that nobody is coerced to participate. It's we're just increasing people's choice here. We're giving them more options. And if somebody is away on vacation or something for the whole enrollment period and comes back a month later and finds they're enrolled in a new program and doesn't like it, they can cancel. They can cancel any time with no penalty. So there's no downside to it at all.
So as I understand it, the electric bill will be the same. National will be from National Grid.
Right.
The actual bill will be the same. The electricity bill is divided into the cost of the electricity and the cost of the delivery.
Right.
The delivery National Grid's going to do, that's going to stay the same. So it's the cost of electricity that will hopefully be affected. Is that right?
That's
Right.
correct.
So people will get a bill, look just like the bills that they're used to. Only one line on the bill will be changed, and that would be indicating the supplier of the electricity and the kilowatt hour charge would be different.
All
But
right.
other than that, it would be the same. All the distribution charges that National Grid collects would be exactly the same.
All right.
And National Grid should also be your contact for your power. You know, if the power goes out or if you have a question about your bill, you still contact National Grid just as before.
And they don't come, and it's the same as it always is, right?
Yeah,
So-
it's hard to fix that part of it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, if you figure that out, let us know.
Yeah,
this is a
I'll opt
great-
into that.
This is a great deal. You know, you help the earth by reducing the carbon footprint if a lot of people opt in for alternative energy, and you save money yourself.
In terms of the alternative energy options, what have other towns around here done? What does it look like
I'd
in
like to
other
talk
areas?
about Newton because they just went live with their program and they got such a fantastic deal. They had 3 levels of program. They had the base level, the lowest level had the minimum amount of renewable required by state law, which now is 14%. They had their default plan, which was their intermediate plan as far as renewable energy goes, was 60% renewable. And they got that amount of renewable energy for a price less than the base utility price. And that was with the top premium grade renewable, Massachusetts Class 1 renewable energy certificates. And they also had 100% renewable for Massachusetts Class 1 RECs. And that came in still under the price of the utility. So people in Newton had the option of going green 100% on their electricity, and they still saved money. It's
Yeah,
amazing.
so, and I think it probably goes without saying, but I'll say it anyway, that the cost, if you decide, listen, I don't care about green, I just want to get the lowest possible bill I can get, then you do this program, and that choice will get you the lowest.
Yes.
And then the more green is expensive to generate, there's a cost to it over and above. So the more you do, the more it will cost. But what I'm hearing you say, Steve, is even if you opt in for 100% green, you'll still save money over what National Grid is charging now.
44 towns in Massachusetts have been successful in offering their residents 100% renewable energy for prices less than what the base utility price was. So that can happen. It's not guaranteed.
Meaning what National Grid charges,
or Eversource.
or Eversource, or
Yeah.
whoever's out there.
Yeah, whoever is the utility provider.
All right.
So it's not guaranteed. You know, it'd be fantastic if we could get a deal that great, but those rates won't be set for us, assuming that we proceed with this for a couple of years, because the process takes that long for the bureaucracy to approve the plans and so forth.
But we've already, you know, Steve has already gone out and gotten the providers that other towns have gotten with the, you know, so we know where the best rates are coming from, and we'll monitor that as we go to make sure that, you know, that watch for the fluctuations. But it's, you know, so many towns have already initiated this program that there's a wealth of information out there already. So it makes it easier to do the RFP to find these people. And by the way, the article, if you want to talk to them, but the article itself is just to authorize developing an RFP, which then will have to come back to town meeting again to be approved.
Yeah, so that's an important point to understand. This initial article before town meeting at the end of the month is just to authorize the Board of Selectmen or their designee to develop a plan, to propose a plan. Then it would go back to the voters in Cohasset after that plan has been approved by the Massachusetts Department of Public Utility. It would come back to the voters probably a year from now, next year's town meeting, to decide whether they wanted to implement the plan. So the voters in Cohasset would get a second chance to vote on it. At that point, that's when bids would be solicited. And so it would be up to the Board of Selectmen or their designee, working with their designee, to decide whether any of the bids they received were acceptable. Now, it's possible that causes strange things with the rates or whatever, they wouldn't be able to get an acceptable bid, in which case the Board of Selectmen could decide not to proceed with
do
it.
it, right.
So there's a lot of gates along the way here. The town isn't locking itself into anything through this one article, because the voters are going to vote this time, they're going to vote a year from now on whether to implement the plan, and the Board of Selectmen are still going to evaluate the bids and see whether there's a good plan for Cohasset residents.
So you're saying that a yes vote at the town meeting on this would only be the first step? and
Only the
a
first,
longer
all it
process?
does is authorize the Board of Selectmen to proceed with investigating and developing a plan. Right.
Have any-
Which would take the form of a request for proposal.
Yeah, right. The plans are pretty much set by state law. So a plan can be like 20 pages long, but it's almost all boilerplate. And the things that are up to us in a town might be the green up options, exactly how we want to structure those. There's very limited input to change it, which makes it kind of strange to me. It takes the Department of Public Utilities, I'm told, 6 to 9 months to review and approve the plans, which is why it'll probably be next year before we can actually come back to town and ask the residents whether they want to implement the plan.
Do you know of any towns who have gone for this bulk purchasing program and then went back to a more traditional form of it?
That has happened. Melrose had a plan which they ran for a year, and they saved their residents money. But then there was a special charge required for, I forget the details, but it turned out that their energy supplier generator was not able to do this at the same competitive way that Eversource was. So they went back to Eversource. They suspended their aggregation plan for a year, went back to Eversource, but they planned then in going back to the aggregation at a later point. So it's rare, but that has happened on occasion.
And just find another supplier, presumably.
Yes.
So we'll go back and find and bid it out again.
Yes, right. They go back and
Get
bid it
somebody
out
who's
at some
more
point,
competitive.
right?
But as we said already, there are more and more towns that have opted into this, that have
Right.
decided to, adopt this kind of plan, this bulk purchasing plan. So we have a lot of information about where the best providers are.
Mm-hmm.
That's public information that we can take, make ourselves available.
I should mention there have been studies of how these plans have worked in Massachusetts. The University of New Hampshire did a case study of 4 towns in Massachusetts, and the University of Massachusetts at Amherst also did a study of the whole program as a whole, and they wrote reports which are cast a very favorable light on the results of these towns. They've been accepted and saved residents money, and been generally very successful. So when the contracts are generally a 2 or 3 years duration, and after the end of one contract, then bids will be collected again for a new contract. And at that stage, if it turns out that like in Melrose, if it happened that the utility price dropped below what the current provider could get, they can go back, but they could jump into the aggregation program at
Yeah,
later
and
time, so.
the alternative energy industry is growing rapidly. And, there's wind farms in the
I
west.
hear those give you cancer now, Peter.
I know,
Come on.
that's what I heard too.
A very stable genius told me that.
I don't think the facts support that, but,
All right.
but I did hear that
I'll
same
have to
thing.
look into that a little more.
But so the point is that, we expect that activity, that dynamic activity, that industry growth will continue to become more efficient and have lower rates as we go out in the future.
Now, these contracts, you say they go for like 2 or 3 years. So do we lock into a rate that's fixed for that period?
Yes, and as one advantage, the rates now vary with the season. But with aggregation contract, bulk buying contract, the rate will be fixed throughout the year. So you won't see unseasonal fluctuations in your bill for that reason.
Okay. You said that selectmen voted 3-2 in favor.
Right.
For what-
Of putting the article on the warrant.
On the warrant, right.
They haven't yet voted on whether to
Recommend or
recommend
not.
approval or not.
All right, so what was the issue with the two that voted no?
Let's see, what was the issue?
The issue was the mode of opting in and out. In other words, when you get the letter, if this all passed over a 2-year period, and we have, a final plan with rates and everything, and you get the letter or the postcard or whatever it may be, they thought that was too onerous to have you automatically opted in and have to make a negative, have to opt out
But
of
you
the
explained to
program.
them, as you just explained to me, that statutorily, there's no choice there.
Yeah, I mean,
But that didn't matter.
they can do it anytime, if they forget or don't understand it, and, come to understand it at a later date, they can opt in or out, as they like.
But the two selectmen voted no
No.
because of that.
As my understanding. I don't know for
One-
sure, but that's my understanding.
One of these selectmen also had another concern, and that was the way the article was written. It was a little bit ambiguous in that they weren't certain that if they weren't able to get an acceptable bid, that they could decline to proceed. So the way, as my understanding, the way articles work at town meeting is that you have the article, then you have a motion to accept the article. And the motion, so the Board of
motion's the
Selectmen
real language.
Right, are crafting a motion to make it clear that they will have the ultimate choice as to whether to accept one of the bids or not. They're not going to be, they're
Right.
not going to have to proceed if they can't come up with an acceptable plan or if a bid is not. they
Which is
can't
fine
give an
with
acceptable
you
bid.
because that's
Which
the
is
way it
fine,
works.
right. That's the way it should be.
Okay, got it. Got it.
So it sounds like we're going to potentially be able to increase alternative energies that are being used, decrease an individual energy bill, save the world, save some money. What's the downside here? Why might people want to vote no?
That's what the current information dictates or says, that's what the experience is so far for most towns.
Mm-hmm.
And there's, 100 and something?
I frankly don't know why anybody would not want to jump on a program like this.
Yeah, it seems-
Again, you help the earth by reducing the carbon footprint. If a lot of people opt in for a alternative energy rate that's lower than the current national grid rate, which why wouldn't you? And you also save money.
So that's the way you see this ending up, if all goes well. That there'll maybe be, you said Newton, I think, there was 3 options. So
Right.
would you envision that for Cohasset, ideally, that you'd have
I-
something like those 3 options?
I think it would be good if we came up with 3 options.
One
Right.
with 100% and one with
Maybe.
with nothing over the 14 and then
Something
one
in the middle, yeah,
somewhere.
exactly.
So we would have to talk to the energy brokers and the experts about what they felt like would fit with the rates we could get.
Yeah.
But yes, that's the sort of thing that we would hope for.
We'd have to find the sweet spot.
Right.
Yeah,
right,
right, okay. And then folks can choose whichever one of those 3, it doesn't matter, the
That's-
contract's the
You
contract.
either opt out or pick one of the options and send the card back. That's it. Not really hard.
Right.
So
right.
one big key to the success of this whole endeavor is the outreach. And that's one reason why I'm so glad that we're doing this interview today, because it's very important that all the residents of Cohasset become aware of the program and know what it is, understand it.
Right.
So-
And so it's been around since 97, I think you said, or that
Yes,
was when the law was
97.
passed?
The first programs came out in '98.
A lot of communities have gone through it. So have we consciously said, well, let's sit back and let others, figure out all the quirks in it and work it all out? Or are we just a little late to the ballgame?
Oh, no, we're not too late. It's been very,
We can still jump in, but
Yeah.
why didn't we do this 10 years ago? It sounds so great.
that beats the hell out of me. I don't
Come
know.
on,
Steve hadn't organized the town.
Okay.
Is the reason.
because
Okay?
Steve's got it together now.
Well,
No, he's the guy who did it. Who brought the committees together and
Yeah,
it started this initiative. So it's just a matter of focus.
Yeah, can you talk a little bit about the Cohasset Residents for Climate Action, how that came to be, and
Well,
what
I'm
goals are?
a member of an environmental organization called 350 Mass for a Better Future. It's associated with 350.org, which is an international organization dedicated to fighting against climate change. The number 350 comes from 350 parts per million carbon dioxide, which scientists say is the highest safe level of carbon dioxide we can accept in our atmosphere.
And we're way
We're
past
way
it
past it
already.
now. We've overshot about
afraid you were gonna
410
say
parts per
that.
million now.
That's
But
right.
anyways, I'm also a member of Sustainable South Shore. And these organizations have as their top objective to encourage your towns to move toward 100% renewable energy. So I was trying to think, what can I do to help along this effort, which I feel is very important. So that's when I didn't know if the town would spring for going for aggregation. Even though I've been on the Alternative Energy Committee, we've done many amazing things like the solar array at the landfill, and got electric cars and charging stations for the town, and so on and so forth, more efficiency in our buildings. But I wasn't sure, so I thought, gee, I want to get a citizens group together to look at a broad spectrum of things that we can do to decrease the carbon footprint of the town. And energy aggregation just seemed like low-hanging fruit. One of the first things we could really sink our teeth into. And I've been so pleased with the support I've gotten from town residents, of people willing to help out in this effort. So that's how that came about.
So just to go over procedurally again, we'll have the vote at town meeting on the 29th, and that's just the vote to go forward with the,
Right, to authorize
looking
Board of
into it.
Selectmen to develop a plan. Right.
Okay, and then presumably they would develop a plan. They might hire an outside consultant.
Right, they're called energy brokers.
Okay.
To help them. They can handle the administrative stuff. So there'll be very little burden on town staff. I've talked to people in other towns, to their town staff, and they say it's no big deal. So it's not like we're imposing a major burden on town staff.
But how much is a consultant going to cost?
Consultant, they charge a tenth of a penny per kilowatt hour.
To the town, or?
That's added to the resident's bill, a tenth of a penny. It's so small, it's most people wouldn't even notice it. So negligible, pennies a month.
But when you aggregate it,
Yeah, that's right.
it's a
It's
nice
worth their
payment
while.
to the broker.
Right. So that's how they
money.
get paid. It costs the town nothing. So
Yeah, okay, so that, and then you would go back to another town meeting,
right.
and that vote would be to,
Yeah, after the plan has been developed and approved by the state agency, it would go back to the voters in Cohasset to ask whether they wanted to implement the plan. So we'd have to have another outreach, explain what we came up with in the plan, and then voters would decide whether or not to proceed.
and that town meeting, how far out do you think that one
I
would
think it'll
be?
take a year because it takes the DPU, the state agency, 6 to 9 months to approve plans.
Okay.
Even though they're mostly boilerplate, it still takes them that long.
Still the government, right?
Yeah.
So probably next annual town meeting.
Right, next annual town meeting.
All right, and then go out to the bid. If we get a good deal, selectmen accept it. They don't have to, but if they accept it, then we're off to the races.
Right, so
and-
that would probably take about, realistically, another year. Most towns have found it takes around 2 years, start to finish, before they actually go live with the aggregation program.
All right, very good.
Can you leave us with maybe the one or two most important things that you want people to take away from this discussion, and something to know going into the town meeting?
We're increasing people's choice here. We're not forcing people to accept the plan. They'll have the choice of whether they want to do this or not, and if they want to do it, they can decide whether they want to increase their renewable energy to help fight climate change. But if they want to do that, fine. If they want just to have the lowest possible electricity bill, they can do that also. So there's no coercion here. It's just increasing people's choice. I'd like to mention that it seems like the time is really ripe here. All our neighboring communities are involved in one way or another in this. Situate is at the same point. Well, they're a little bit ahead. They passed an article at their town meeting last fall to authorize development of a plan. Marshfield's at the same situation that we are. Quincy, they have a different form of town governance, but they're proceeding very quickly toward a plan.
Boston is as well.
Boston is, right? I should mention that Hull and Hingham are somewhat different because they're municipal light plants.
So
But
they can't.
I want to say that Hingham has already gone to 100% renewable energy through Class 1, these premium Class 1 Massachusetts RECs.
Yeah.
Because they have a municipal light plant, and it just had to be the decision of their light board to go this way. They didn't have to go before the voters, so they could do it very quickly. And Hull is also forming a town committee to come up with a plan to help move toward 100% renewable energy.
Terrific, terrific.
So this is it's everywhere.
It's a thing.
You know, just like the efforts of the Steve's committee.
Cohasset Residents for Climate Action?
No, your town.
Sustainable
the other
South Shore? Or,
Yeah, the town committee.
Alternative Energy Committee.
The Alternative Energy Committee, they
That's too many
spearheaded.
Yeah, you're very involved.
Yeah, I have a license, I'm old. They spearheaded the Green Community
Right.
Initiative,
Right.
which has been very, very beneficial to the town. And this is another,
town?
this is
just
another
an
effort that will do
extension
the
of
same
it,
thing.
but-
You know, the whole town can benefit from
The
this.
town has saved, well, I think it's we're up to like $700,000 so far through the landfill and other programs that the Alternative Energy Committee has gotten through. So we're very proud of all this accomplishment.
And this is another one.
Excellent. Steve, Peter, thank you so much. We've run out
Thank
of
you.
time. Good luck at town meeting, and we appreciate all your work on behalf of the town.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
All right, we'll be right back in just a few seconds with our next guest. We're going to talk a little about Earth Day.
I used to dread getting up and going to work.
I was done with the corporate grind.
I was tired of being a starving artist.
And I started looking around for a business that I believed in, and I kind of wanted to do something a little more green.
My SCORE mentor helped me take the first step.
He helped me create a business plan and helped me implement it.
They've really taught me how to think big.
SCORE helped me to make the unimaginable possible, all for free. I'm here because of SCORE.
I'm here because of SCORE.
Get your free business mentor at score.org.
All right, and we're back. So now, for the rest of the show, we have two guests, one who wouldn't leave, Peter Pescatore,
I'm like that sometimes.
and Tom Callahan, former selectman, former conservation commission, former a lot of things around here. Troublemaker. And yeah, he's not
Current.
former troublemaker, current troublemaker. He's going to tell us a little about what's going on with Earth Day.
Yeah, so we have Earth Day coming up. Seems like there's going to be some big events in town. I was hoping you guys could give us a rundown. And
Sure,
yeah.
I'd love to. The last time, the town used to do an Earth Day observation annually, sponsored by the Health Department, which stopped about 1994. Tom actually has a T-shirt from that.
Must be a pretty nasty T-shirt.
that
after all
last-
those years.
Well, actually, it cleaned up pretty good. Yeah. So
Still fits too.
we are both members of the Open Space and Recreation Committee, which just finished its 7-year plan. The state requires an open space and rec plan to allow the town to bid on grants that are involved with the recreation or open space. So it's a requirement if you want to look for grant money. That's into the state right now, and it's being evaluated. We expect we'll get it back in a week or 10 days or It's been there for a couple of weeks.
And how much money would that be, did you say?
Well, it's no, the grants vary. You know, we don't know exactly.
we gotten it before?
just makes us eligible to apply for grants.
Yeah.
We have to have,
Yeah.
each town has to have a plan in place.
Yeah, if you don't have the
similar to
plan,
master
you
plan.
can't apply.
I see.
And so, and it varies with the legislation, you know, how much money they put out for these things. But in the plan itself, we have 4 major goals, and within each goal, there's a number of action items to achieve the goal, all right? And one of the goals with this plan is to raise the awareness of the habitat and the climate change initiative, okay? And so, and specifically to bring Earth Day back and make it, you know, communicate the need for paying attention to the little blue orb that we live on, okay? And so that's the genesis of it. We created a separate committee, you know, just solicited people to join the committee. There was a group that attempted to get a cleanup group together 2 years ago, and they couldn't attract enough interest, okay? We have been working since January to create, you know, with this group of people that boil down to about 10 of us now, to put on Earth Day. We also decided that we wanted to have an educational component to the observation. And so we have four educational forums scheduled. 2 of them have already happened. One was everything you ever wanted to know about ticks, which was done by the state entomology people. Was a great, you know, it was well attended, and it was a good program. And Sunday, we had an author who, Peter Alden, who is the author of the Audubon Field Guides. He's done all the Audubon Field Guides. He's a world traveler, naturalist, and, you know, lecturer. And we had a really good turnout on Sunday for that. The next one is, the next activity is the cleanup day itself, which is Saturday the 27th. Earth Day is April the 22nd, the Monday, okay? But it's a little awkward to try to do something on the Monday, so we opted out for the 27th. And we were at the rec fair, the health and rec fair with the table. We had a lot of interest from families who were interested in getting their children initiated in appreciation of the habitat that we live in, which is our underlying goal, is to, you know, subvert the children so that they pay attention to the earth that we live on.
So where are these cleanup activities going to happen?
I'll pass that over to the captain of the cleanup.
Captain Cleanup. There's about 15 sites we've identified around town so far. One of them I want to mention is out at Straits Pond, at the Straits Pond Watershed Association. They had already planned that. They've been doing their own cleanup for a few years. We just haven't had a town-wide effort for at least 25. So they're doing their thing coincidentally on the same day, on the 27th, and they allowed us to mention it, you know, as part of our activities. But we've identified a bunch of different sites. We do have some groups who've already committed to like being the quarterback of each site and bringing volunteers. We've had individuals who've contacted me, people who showed up that day, people who will, at the rec fair, people who will show up on the 27th, and we'll plug them in where they want. And if people have their own site in mind, they can come that day, let us know. And
yeah, registration is from 8:30 in the morning to noontime at the front door of Town Hall.
Yeah.
You know, we'll have some tables set up there. They'll pick up a T-shirt and a trash bag and a set of rules about safety. And we also have, the town has given us a crew it's a Saturday, so
DPW?
they've given us a DPW crew and a dump truck to pick up any heavy items, or if the bag gets too big or too ugly to put in your car, The plan is to have everybody bring it back, and we'll have dumpsters in the parking lot of the town hall to put all the trash in.
We're gonna have people, ask people to bring their own gloves, their own tools, if they want rakes or, grabbing things. Bring the bags back to town hall if they can, but, if they do find shopping carts, pieces of cars, whatever, tires, big things, put them on the side of the road, email me and we have
We'll
the
get-
ta- we
yeah,
have
we'll
the
get the
town
DPW
employees
to
that
pick
will
it
help
up.
us pick them up that day. And we're expecting people like on a site to be out no more than an hour or two, it won't take that long.
So you'll assign, once people sign up, you'll assign them,
Or they'll
or
choose,
say,
Yeah,
here's a group, it'd be
or they'll-
awesome if you went
right,
to this one.
yeah, or they'll choose an area
Yeah.
that they know they want to clean up.
The groups who have been, volunteered a different area, I've kind of asked them for feedback, on how many numbers they think they're gonna bring. And then when people come randomly and just say, put me where you need them, I'll kind of know where we can plug people in. But we're just going to, have people do what they want, really, and then go to different parts of town. We're gonna be right after the Little League Parade. We do have a group that's
Big
gonna do the
event.
Common, we do have a group that's gonna do the Village. Just going along the parade route and around the baseball field, I'm sure is gonna need some cleanup after that parade. So
Yes, I'm sure.
that's
Those
an
little
open
hooligans,
area for
yeah.
anybody who wants to volunteer.
Candy wrappers and that type of
Yes,
thing.
We won't be going up on 3A. It's too dangerous.
No 3A, no train line.
Which really does need some cleanup by the train. It's
Yeah,
all-
but-
but I understand, but it's all swampland and.
Right, and then,
Can't do it.
as far as main streets are going, there was a couple we have on our list, and we still have to talk to the police department about the safety aspects of that, but there are a few streets, particularly the ones that lead right up from 3A, where some stores and trash, over on Sawyer, behind the Dunkin' Donuts.
Mhm,
and
mhm.
the Chinese restaurant, there's always a lot of trash in there and along that way, all the way up to the music circus. Beechwood, between 3A and South Main Street, it gets dirty too. So we're thinking about how many of those main streets we're gonna try to do, but mostly we're picking parks and locations off of roads that need cleanup.
So I've had my kids out at the beach a couple times already this year, and I feel like every time I go, I see somebody there with a bag picking up trash. It seems like it's become like a pretty common thing for people just to do in their day-to-day life.
That
which
would be
is
Sam
great.
Wakeman.
Yeah.
Okay.
There are a
Sam?
couple of individuals
Yeah,
that,
Sam walks around
there's
with a bag
another
all the time.
individual, Dick Avery, I'll give a shout out. If you'll see him along Forest Ave and Straits Pond all the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
So it
So
seems
a lot
great
of
that
the
people are-
citizens do
Yeah,
that. A lot of the citizens go out and pick
Are
up
there-
automatically.
Are there neglected parts of town that maybe
Well, yeah.
other
A
people
lot of
could be
places
focusing
near
on as
3A,
well?
near the supermarkets and the fast food places that have a lot of trash.
Around the edges of Milliken Field, especially where the kids come across, there's a pathway that, from the high school over to Milliken, that's kind of an area that collects.
Government Island is a spot we're going to do,
Around the dam,
Swamp, along Parker Avenue and up to the boat landing. Yeah, the dam there's a lot of things that go on dam.
and
People
even
wanna
down
use
into
the-
the Wolf Pit,
Yeah, up in
And
Beechwood,
there's
yeah.
people, this is why we're asking gloves. A lot of them you're gonna find broken glass, or
Yeah.
all kinds of
Or the
activities that go
nasty
beer
on.
things,
bottles
yes.
and.
Sort of the dark corners of town. We're going to do, I think somebody's going to do around Elms Meadow in the center of town. So, we have some good spots that all need attention.
Now, as you know, I'm on the Cohasset Conservation Trust, and we usually do something Earth Day. Has there been a coordination on that? or-
Yes,
Oh, good.
Debbie
Debbie,
Shad's
I'm
on
sure.
and Katie Holden are both on the
Oh, okay.
inner group.
Right, good, good.
So it's all coordinated with
Because
them.
we usually get like the lacrosse team or something like that.
Yeah, they're gonna do that separately. That is gonna happen the week of the vacation week.
Okay.
That'll be done, because they do it every year at the same time, so we just let that go.
We did our scheduling to try to avoid vacation week, but, whenever it gets done, it's great, and we hope to, maybe get more people who are doing it on a year-round basis than a couple of intrepid souls around town, and then, like Situate has done, and some other towns, start to make it a more regular annual event.
Yeah, we wanna make it an annual event.
That's
We
the
wanna-
goal, is this will be the first.
The
Yeah.
goal is
We don't want another
to
25
make
years
this a
gap.
Cohasset event every year and grow it. We'd like to have some activities on the common for the little kids, to, again, introduce them to thinking about their environment that they're in. That's why we have the educational programs. There's still 2 left. One is the 28th, the Sunday, the 28th, at the Senior Center, April 28th, right the day after the cleanup. And it's a climate change lecture given by Alex Moore, who is a Harvard climatologist and scientist. So it's at 3 o'clock, it's free. Should be a really interesting discussion. If you haven't really been paying attention to climate change,
You better.
here's the
Better start.
here's the facts,
Yeah,
folks.
right.
And we think facts really matter.
Yeah.
So, and the last one is May 2nd. It's I think that's a Tuesday or Thursday. Maybe it's a
May
Thursday.
2nd.
It's 7 o'clock at the Sailing Club, Jack Buckley's Cohasset Student Research Center. Susan
Right.
Bryant is going to present the State of the Harbor at the Sailing Club at 7 o'clock. So
Excellent.
all environmentally themed, you know, trying to stimulate talk and interest in what's around us and why we need to keep it, why we should be paying attention and keeping it clean. You know, Cohasset's a beautiful town, and activity like this, it's been very well received. People are really calling up Tom and myself, emailing us to join in. So I think we're going to have a big crowd.
Hoping for good weather.
Hoping for good weather.
That'll-
The rain day is Sunday, the 28th.
And so if you call it, we'll.
Well, yeah,
we'll-
I was thinking more about that, and,
Yeah, we have to figure out how we'll
I
call
don't
it.
know
That's what I was
how
gonna-
we'll call it or how bad it will need to be before we call it. I
Okay.
mean, we're not asking people to be out all day. Our time limit is really, when the dump closes at 3, I'm sorry.
We're not
recycling
using the
transfer
dump, yeah.
facility closes, 3:34. We're using a private dumpster at Town Hall, so we're not constrained by that so much. It's just if there's heavy items to be picked up. So
You may have to
we
bring it
have the
up,
course
yeah.
of the whole day.
Yeah,
so-
and where we have, we're expecting such a strong turnout. I mean, we've got more than half of the major areas we've identified
booked.
already committed to.
Yeah.
And
so you said this stuff, you've got a dumpster, so we'll go in the dumpster, but you'll bring some things up to the landfill.
If people find really big items, or again, if their bags get too heavy.
if the bags get
or
too
leaking
ugly or too
something,
heavy, you
we'll
know.
come and get it, and that'll go up
Go up
to.
to the landfill.
you know,
uh,
yeah, if they don't want to put them in the car,
Right.
we'll come get it.
I mean, one of the reasons we use the private dumpster, and I know some people say, why are you not recycling? There's a lot of work into that, so to make it more convenient and easier for people, we're not asking people to distinguish and recycle while they're picking up, just.
Right.
put
Yeah,
it in a
the
bag
fact of the
and
matter
on
is the recycle market has really collapsed.
Yeah, well, we
Only-
didn't talk about that. for a
Only,
long time,
only corrugated is valuable.
right? Anyway,
Everything else has to, the town has to pay to have somebody
Right.
take it away.
right.
So
Right.
it's not as, although we should all recycle still, but
What time does it start again now, Pete?
8:30 in the morning till
Roughly 8:30.
noon time.
I'm told the Little League Parade will be out of the way, so people will be able to get to the common, but we'll have people there with bags for pickup up until noon.
Up until noon,
And
and
then go out for an hour or two, come back, and hopefully by 3:30 or so, at 3 at the latest, 3:30.
The dumpsters will
we'll
be
wrap up.
there all, anyway, through the
they'll
night.
be through there.
Yeah.
And the after party will be,
Well, maybe next year we'll have the after
all
party.
right,
This
well,
is,
just
this
throwing
is,
it out as a suggestion.
this is the first year around. We don't have any food trucks this year. We don't have any bands and entertainment. We don't have any
All right,
kids
well, we don't have to
things.
talk about what we don't.
Yeah, let's
Well,
talk
we
about what we.
do.
Well, but we
Have
wanted to get it,
events.
we wanted to get
Get
the,
trash
we
bags.
wanted to get the organization right and get the enthusiasm built up. And hopefully it'll grow and be a community thing that we'll do every year.
Sounds great.
And
Last
one of
word,
the- Yeah,
Peter.
I wanted to say that,
Tom.
we did only pull this together since January, and we did quite a bit, but we have thought about other things, other events, particularly for kids, food, making a more festive thing about this, but we did pull quite a bit together. And I did want to mention the Chamber of Commerce has been a huge help. Larry Corthell from
Yeah,
from
thank
the
you.
bank
Yeah.
has been a huge help. We raised $4,000.
Yeah.
At least it's pledged. So the T-shirts will mention there's at least 15 sponsors who've.
Oh, and I gotta get one last thing. We asked the schools to design a logo for us. If the art department would do that, they did that, and we did choose one student, Bridget Wickstead's art piece was chosen as the logo, and it's on the
On the
T-shirts.
t-shirt. Terrific. So you're really getting everybody involved.
We're trying to get
the
everybody
whole
involved.
community
The chamber, and I also want to commend Chris Senior because, this has to happen with coordination with town, and he's been a real enthusiastic supporter
he's been a
about getting
huge
something
supporter
done
of this.
for Earth Day. And
That's
it's been very
terrific.
helpful to us so far.
April
27th.
And if people,
8:30.
and if people want any more information about this,
Tom or I,
Yeah.
Just call the old-fashioned way.
Either email us, call us.
My email, I guess what's the difference?
Yeah, we didn't get a web page put up this year,
That's
or
for
or Facebook, but that's part of what we'd like to
I
have
mean,
for the next
people are
go
welcome
around.
to come that day, but if they want to give me a heads up of where they, if they're coming, how many people they're bringing, where they'd like to go, it's tjcesq@yahoo.com. Be great. It's better to know in advance so we can plug people in the right places, and that would be great. And people are making a big family event out of it. Everybody's saying, I'm bringing my family.
Yep.
It's gonna be 6 of us, 4 of us, 5 of us. It's great.
And the T-shirts will be given out until they're gone.
It's t-shirts. I mean, you can keep them for 20 years like he does. or
Well, I'm
whatever
gonna
it is.
wear mine.
There you go. All right.
So we saved one there.
Tom, Peter, thanks for coming on.
Thank you.
And happy Earth Day.
Thank you.
Excellent. All right. Well, that's it for our show. What'd you think, Pon?
yeah, I think this is pretty good. What do you think?
Excellent, excellent.
Yeah.
Yes, we're going to have a lot of fun. We're going to try to get the candidates in for selectmen to
Absolutely.
talk to them about how they feel on the issues. And if any other town meeting warrant articles we should discuss, hopefully we'll get that in. And we'll have a fun spring. And again, social media.
Social media, we're on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, Our Town Cohasset. You can contact us there, follow for updates or any upcoming show information.
For Vienna, I'm Mark DeGiacomo. Thanks for joining us, and good night.